What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 417 of Opinions May Vary. I am your host, Jayare, my co-host with me, Alex.
Hello.
How are you doing? I miss you. It's been so long. All the usual platitudes. I hope you're doing well.
It's been great. I went for a walk and it's September weather
Yeah,
today.
yeah, it's fun. And then we're supposed to get snow tomorrow. So that's even better. Pretty psyched. It's going to be great. I love New England. This week we have, so there's not, and I've written about this in like blog posts and stuff in the past, but we've been doing this for a little while. We have a couple years under our belts. So when we come across like firsts, it's fun and it's exciting and I call attention to it. So this week I believe this is a first of maybe one or maybe even two things. But usually Alex is our go-to guy when it comes to finding interesting people to talk to. Every now and then I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I'll try and hunt people down. But Alex, he has a knack for it. He has a gift, whatever you want to say. But this is one of the people that I was interested in talking with. And I sent Alex's way and Alex hooked up and we're making it happen. They're waiting very patiently. Just bear with me. And this was actually a result of because like sometimes it's like we saw someone on Instagram or we met someone at a show or what have you. This is the first time that we've really connected with someone because of Reddit, going back 2 years. Was when like this first like entered my brains. But I digress. We'll get more into it in a minute. But joining us this week is artist Peter Lim. Peter, thank you so much for coming on.
Hello, everyone.
Now, I mentioned this is a Reddit thing. Now, we're going to travel back in time for a hot second. We're going to go back to March 18th of 2018. So we're talking like 2.5 years almost, if I'm doing my math right. I'm probably doing that wrong. Either way, I was scrolling through Reddit on a post, specifically on the D&D subreddit, and I came across Dragonborn Barbarian Commission. And it immediately struck me because the character that I've been playing in our main D&D game for the past like 4 or 5 years or whatever we're doing, however long it's been going, is a Dragonborn Barbarian. And the image, he's got the big battle axe, which is also what my character uses. And immediately I was like, holy shit, this is fantastic. And went to Instagram, followed on Instagram, and then I've been a fan ever since. And like I said, this is over 2 years ago that I've been like kind of lurking, and then finally it was just like, you know what, man, I want to talk to this guy. so Peter, man, thanks for coming on. I guess I want to kick it off. Like, what's to give us some background, specifically like for your artistic background. Where do you come from? Did you go to school for this? Are you self-taught? How'd you get into doing art? And then, specifically kind of like the D&D aspect or the fantasy aspect.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much a combination, self-taught and going to school. I've been drawing since I was a little kid. Like my mom would put up wallpaper specifically so that I could draw on the walls. So I had a lot of support at home. But then I went to art school after high school. I went to the Art Institute of California in Los Angeles, and I went there to get an animation degree. So I do have a bachelor's in animation, but at the time, I don't think I was as good. My skills weren't professional yet, just coming out of school. And so I wasn't ever actually in the animation or games industry like I wanted to be. So yeah, it was a combination of, just drawing on my own. I learned a lot of 3D modeling and just the whole production pipeline in school. And then from there, I kind of just, after I graduated, I just practiced a lot on my own and improved from there. And as far as Reddit and Dungeons and Dragons stuff goes, I was just bored one day, and I've been a part of the character art or the character drawing subreddit for a while. And, they would have, that's the subreddit where people do requests, fulfill requests to, draw people's characters.
Hmm.
And so my first D&D related piece actually was also a Dragonborn, but it was just someone's request that I, fulfilled and posted that, and it got pretty good, a pretty good reception. And so from there, I started to, do more and more requests until eventually someone actually messaged me asking if they could commission me. And I was like, that has never happened before. And if I can make money doing this, then, why not? Right. And so from there, it kind of ballooned into this freelance career that I've got right now. So, yeah. From there, it's just
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it's one of those things, like, I can get paid for doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I can make money off of it, like, and it's one of those things because everyone has, especially when it comes to D&D, everyone has like their own unique character in their brains. Like, the one that I saw on Reddit 2 years ago really resonated with me because it was very similar to, the image that I've had in my head for like my character. Like, it's obviously not exact. It's not, there are aspects that, in my head are going to be a little different, but it was so close. Like, it was like, oh my God, like this is it. So I think when people can have the opportunity to see their characters kind of coming to life, I think it adds like another layer to it. Like it almost makes it even more real for some people.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think most people have a pretty active imagination, but they just may not have the technical ability to actually visualize what's in their brain, right? So that's kind of what I sell, is that ability to take what's in your head and put it down on paper into some form that's actually realized so that you can see it for yourself. And I think that's very satisfying to a lot of people to see something they've imagined sitting there on the desk in front of them,
Right.
Yeah.
When it comes to commission work, and like Alex and I, we frequently the conventions and all that stuff back when we could go to conventions. And we commissions are a very common thing. So it's, hey, can you draw me this guy, whether it's this guy doing this, or can you draw me this character but as a zombie, or can you draw this character but he's one of the Green Lantern, or whatever. It's typically artists have something to go on. So it's, yes, I can draw you Superman. Absolutely. I know what Superman looks like. Let's go. And I'm going to draw you Superman. Commission work for something like D&D, I feel like, and you might be able to speak better to this, I'm just kind of spitballing here from someone who has no talent. For D&D, I feel like it might be a little more difficult, because you're going off of someone's description of a character that exists in their mind and maybe on paper in the form of statistics and abilities and things like that. But it doesn't necessarily, like, you can't really draw from reference to that exact character. Is it difficult sometimes working with people and kind of getting their ideas, together in an image?
Yeah, you could say that. Generally, I notice there's like two types of clients, right? There's the kind of client that is very specific about what they want. They have, they have references, they have other art that's been done before. They have, the backstory, they have the stat block, they have everything. And then there's the kind that is just kind of like, well, here's kind of my character, here's his backstory, and then kind of go off of that. I don't really have a clear vision, right? Mm-hmm. So depending on the type of client you are, it kind of changes the process for me a little bit. Like the super specific guy, they're kind of easy to work with because they already have a bunch of images that you can draw from, so there's not as much creative decision making that I have to do on my end, which is the fun part, but it's also a lot of work. And then the people that are a little more vague about it, those are those are the ones that are more fun for me personally, because it's it's my personal vision of what their character should look like. And those people generally come to me because they like my creative decision making, they like my aesthetic, and so they're open to letting me kind of just run wild with it, right?
Right.
So yeah, going back to the original question, it's like it depends. It always depends, really. I honestly have no preference for either type of client. If you have a bunch of references for me, that's great. If you have just a vague idea, that's also fine, as long as they realize that I will not be able to. I am not a mind reader, so as long as it's close to what you want, then I'm happy, and as long as the client is happy, then I'm also happy.
I can't help but imagine all the good and bad consequences that could come from this, because immediately I want to picture someone who says, I have a gnome rogue and he's 3 feet tall, but he has 32 knives, daggers, so I need you to draw every single dagger and have it be visible, and there's also a tattoo in Elven script around his wrist and it looks like this, and that has to be exact. Versus like the great side, where a player might get a new idea for how their character might behave or react or what they would do based off of something that you drew for them, because they might not have something fully fleshed out or something to fully roleplay, but just you giving them a vision would help them, fill out any gaps they had in their character work.
Yeah, like the super specific client. Well, there's also this weeding out process also, right? I learned through experience that generally the really nitpicky clients are those that you don't really want to work with. They may be, I don't want to generalize all clients like this, but there are clients out there that are, just unreasonable, right?
Yeah.
And so it's on you as a freelancer to pick your clients as well, right? You don't have to take every job that comes along. It's better for your mental health as a freelancer to be selective about the people that you work with. And I think I've been pretty lucky in that the people that I've worked with have been, they've all been pretty good, decent people who understand the work that it takes to get them their finished product, right? And those people are great to work with. One of the ways, I guess this is kind of going to turn into like advice for freelancers, personal experience, but one of the ways that I've learned to, weed out those more difficult clients is to just raise my prices.
Yeah.
If you value yourself at an appropriate level, then you'll mostly work with people who value yourself similarly, right?
Right.
Someone who thinks art is cheap isn't gonna respect the artist as much. Someone who thinks art is worth the money that they're paying will likely respect the person doing the work also. So, and I also have, a bunch of clauses in my contract that I send out to people, like numbers of revisions. If you go beyond a certain number of revisions, I'm going to start charging you. And that usually cuts down on, revision limbo, as I like to call it, where it's just constant back and forth. It's like, no, can you change this? Can you change that? It's like, yes, but it's going to cost you. And then once they hear that, they're like, oh, okay, well, maybe this doesn't need to be changed all that much, right?
Actually, it's fine.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's lots of things you can do to kind of mitigate those effects of just really nitpicky clients.
Right. You never want to see yourself end up on the Choosing Beggars subreddit.
Yeah, exactly.
pay your artists, pay for art. If like, don't come at them with this isn't free. You know, you're doing it for the exposure. Nobody wants to get paid in exposure dollars. Pay your artists. Right. It's pretty simple.
Pretty much.
Now, when it comes to, like, let's say, you know, getting your work out there, posting. I found you on Reddit. That was one of the areas that you put your work on, and people can find you. I found you on Reddit. Can you speak to the benefits and maybe even to the the pros and cons of posting your work, getting it out there on places like Reddit, where there's the masses, like even just on the D&D subreddit alone, it looks like there's 2.2 million people subscribed to that subreddit. So it's an opportunity to really get your work out there, but it's also an opportunity to have a lot of people who might be difficult.
I think social media and just marketing and stuff in general it's going to be a double-edged sword. You can certainly get your work out there, but you can also take a lot of backlash for stuff if the community somehow doesn't like it or something. But you have to be comfortable enough with your own work to take that kind of criticism, right? I think one of the things that art school taught me, at least, was how to take criticism, and how to give and take criticism, which is something I don't think is very common knowledge, at least in the lay person's world. So, on Reddit, if I post something and it does decently well and there's, more than 50 comments or something, there will be a portion of those comments where you get, unsolicited criticism or something. Like, oh, this looks a little off. This doesn't look quite right. That leg is too short, stuff like that. And, it's unsolicited, but you can either take it or leave it, right? You don't have to do anything,
right?
Because the work that you post, well, and in my case, at least, the work that I post is already finished. Mm-hmm. If I wanted criticism on it, I'll have gone to, the Fantasy Artists Discord, where me and a bunch of other fantasy artists from Reddit, we gather and we talk shop, we give each other critiques and stuff. And, that's where I go for my serious critiques. So on Reddit, though, you just kind of have to be able to shrug stuff off, like
roll with the punches, if you will.
Yeah. And I think in the online nature of today's world, you have to be very conscious of, what you say, how you act. So I try to always act in a, professional manner, at least. Mm-hmm. Like, I can joke around, but I will never, straight up insult someone or put someone down. I generally tend to try to lift up other artists if they're out there, and be, I guess, amicable would be the word. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we might have gotten a little bit off topic here.
Well,
it's kind of so okay. So back to just posting stuff on Reddit. Yeah, there's multiple places you can post, right? There's D&D, there's character drawing, D&D art. There's the Fantasy Artist subreddit, which I will probably plug later on. But I think the main thing is how to get as many eyes on your work as possible. And, that's just, you cross post everywhere. You post on Twitter, you post on Instagram. But it's definitely tough to get noticed. especially these days. Like the art market is just oversaturated with amazingly talented and skilled professionals.
Mhm.
So it's extremely hard to get noticed.
Mhm.
But I think that's something that everyone will struggle with. But just because you're not noticed doesn't mean that your work has no value, right? That's not something that you should tie to your work.
Right.
Like, oh my God, art Twitter always has these huge drama, just drama all the time about like, oh, I only have like 1,000 followers or something. I only have 100 followers. It's like, well, the followers come when you're worth following, right? So if you just keep working on your stuff and improve your work and just keep putting it out there, and eventually you'll gain more followers if your skill is improving, if you're connecting with the community, if you're creating stuff that the community wants to see. Like, that's the stuff that will get you follows.
Mm-hmm.
I think my Instagram took me like 5, almost 10 years to get to only I think I'm at like 1,800 followers right now or something.
Yep.
So it's like it's never really been about the followers for me. It's more about just me being able to do what I like to do and make some money off of it. And
right.
And you know, the more I do what I do, the better I get at it. And that is my end goal, is getting better at art. It's not hitting a certain number of followers or whatever. Or
right.
like sometimes you just have to get your priorities in order. It's like, do you want the clout or do you want the skill? For me personally, I think working on the skill will get you the clout later on. So cart before the horse kind of thing.
Yeah. Plus you're also getting this whole backlog. You're posting for years, you're gradually getting better and better, and then when someone like me or someone like Alex stumbles upon to your work, even just scrolling your Instagram, just there's such a nice mix of, there's like rough drafts, there's sketches, there's completed works, there's commissions, stuff that I've seen on Reddit, and also over here on Instagram as well. By the way, the Tiefling Gunslinger that you did a couple months ago is one of my favorite things. That thing is so good. But it just shows like you have such a backlog that people can scroll through, and maybe someone's interested in a commission, maybe someone's looking for an artist to hire or something like that. So when they go to your account or what have you, they can see this entire backlog, they can see your work, they can see your progression. It's just, I think it's a lot better. Like, yeah, you might not have 10 million followers, but you had, like, the work is there,
Yeah, like if you scroll all the way to the bottom, the difference in the level of skill, I think, is pretty apparent. Like, I always have this certain style that I think hasn't really gone away, which I like that, actually. I like that I have a fairly distinct personal style, but just the execution of that has increased so much, and that's one of those things I'm actually kind of proud of myself for, is like I can see my own progress, and I can see where like maybe I've hit certain like plateaus or something, like when I plateau, when I start to climb in skill again, when I hit like little eureka moments.
What do you attribute to that in terms of growth and getting better?
I think the common advice is for people to just practice, right? You hear that a lot, but I think you have to like amend that a little bit with you have to practice consciously, in my opinion. There will be certain pieces where I have tried something new, or I had like some little happy accident during the piece, and I like, yeah, it's hard to describe. It's just like one of those eureka moments where you figure something out, something clicks, and then taking that, you can advance your skills with that little, like maybe I figured out how to paint over my lines or something and make it not look like poop. Cause like, that's one of my personal hurdles is, I'm a very line art heavy kind of artist, and straight up painting has always kind of been difficult for me.
Mm.
But there was a piece, I don't really remember which one it was, but there was a piece where I managed to kind of merge the line art style and the painterly style. And I think that kind of evolved into how I do all my work right now. It's part of my workflow, where it's a little bit of line art. You can still, like, I like still having the line art be visible in key areas, and then I paint over other stuff, because I still really enjoy line art and the look of it, but I also really enjoy that kind of painterly rendering style. So instead of, doing straight up line art, then flat colors, then whatever, or straight up painting, I've managed to kind of mix this line art and painterly style into my own personal style that I think is pretty recognizable, I would hope. But it's all about, like, in terms of improving, it's all about like picking at certain things that you see in your work that is working, and then you take that and you apply it to your further pieces. So instead of just, mindlessly practicing drawing all day, every day, 12 hours a day, 250 boxes, that kind of stuff, it's more be conscious of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you can apply that later on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's also, you also kind of have to have some self-awareness as an artist, right? Like, you have to be aware of what areas you're lacking in, what areas you're good at. And it's totally okay to not be good at something. I think a lot of artists starting out, they get discouraged easily because it doesn't immediately look like they can't immediately draw like Kim Jong-gi or something,
I mean, who can?
Yeah, I know. That's the ideal right there, right? But I mean, even Kim Jong-gi, I'm sure he sucked at one point, right?
Right.
And like that's one of those things, right? You guys say you have no talent, and I want to move away from that concept, right? It's not necessarily talent. I want to replace that with skill, right? Because skill is something you can develop over time. Talent just feels like you were born with it, right?
Right.
And it's like, sure, maybe I was born with an affinity for drawing, in that I liked it, in that I was kind of good at it. My hand-eye coordination was there. But I mean, I think back to like when I first graduated from art school and I couldn't get any jobs. Mm-hmm. My skills just were not up to par, right? And that's not, if that's talent, I would have stopped right there. That would have been the end of it. Mm-hmm. But since it's a skill, if you think of art as a skill, as something that you can develop over time, then you know that you have to work at it and get better, and that you can improve, and that your work will your work will improve along with you, right? Well, that's a stupid way to say it. Of course, your work will improve along with you.
I mean, it's true. It's not wrong.
Yeah. But you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
You have
Yeah,
to.
absolutely.
I want to move the idea of talented artists away from saying that they're talented and saying, "Wow, you're so fucking skilled, man. How did you get so good?" And then they'll tell you, it's like, "Well, I practiced a lot. I drew consciously. I was thinking about what I was doing."
That's you see the argument a lot with the, you charge $50 for this commission. Like it takes you 20 minutes to bang it out. Okay, yeah, it takes me 20 minutes to draw this, but think about all the hours and hours, weeks, months, years spent honing that craft to get to the point where I can bang this out in 20 minutes.
It took me 10 years to be able to do it in 10 minutes.
Yeah. You're not paying for their time. Well, you are paying for their time, but you're also paying for like the years of knowledge and skill and experience that comes with it.
Right.
It's like you're not gonna, like, if someone comes and like your car engine is just totally shot, no other mechanic can fix it, but this one guy, he comes along and is like, oh, it's just this little thing over here. You're gonna pay him $5 because he identified something that no other mechanic could identify. It's not, you're paying for his skill and his knowledge.
It's like with to piggyback off your example, the rotary engine in old Mazdas. Nobody knows how to work on it anymore. So when you find someone who does know how to work on a rotary engine, you're gonna pay extra because the demand is there, the knowledge is there. Like, not everyone knows how to work on those, so it's gonna cost you a little bit more. You're gonna have to put some effort into it. It's the same thing goes for art. Someone when you go to an artist, you're paying for their work, which entails their experience. It took them so long to get up to that point. I imagine there may be people out there who are just, I can draw and it's beautiful and I have to put no effort into this, but most people have to work for it. So you're paying for those years that they spent working for it.
Yeah. And you may also be paying for, that's very specific style, right? Like if I want anime drawing, I'm going to go to some artist whose anime style I really like, and if I only want his work or his style, then yeah, I'll pay him for that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I've had this conversation multiple times with just arguments on Facebook or Reddit or whatever about pricing art and stuff, and it's
the eternal struggle.
Yeah, it's the never-ending conversation. Right, because there's always some people out there who don't understand that we're not, as artists, we're not necessarily. Art is a weird profession to be in because it's really hard to quantify, and it's really hard to put a value on art, right? We're not laborers in a sense that but I guess you could think of it as like we're more like a combination of a consultant and an artisan and like a skilled tradesman, right?
Mm-hmm.
You come to the artist for their specific vision and their specific technical ability. So it's this weird combination of disciplines that makes it really hard to price appropriately and to get people to agree to that price, because the majority of people don't know, the hours that it takes into creating a finished piece of art, right? They just see the finished product and they're like, oh, that looks cool. And then that's about it. They're done.
Yeah.
Right. You don't really think about it much beyond that. But for the artist, right, there's like weeks sometimes of work. Like my commissions generally take about 1 to 2 weeks, depending on time I have available and stuff. But, I will go through several rough drafts before I settle on something that I actually like. And, the client doesn't see that.
Right.
They don't see the different designs that I do. Like for any one design, there's probably 5 or 6 ones that I throw out before I settle on something I like. The ones that are like a hit on the first try, those are rare. Those are very rare.
Right.
But I'll take them when I can get them.
Yeah. A welcome surprise.
Yeah, but it's like yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that people don't really see. They're not really aware of, and that all factors into the final pricing. You know,
are there any
like
I'll say classes or seminars that teach artists how to price their own work? Because
actually, yes.
Good.
I'll find it later and link you guys. But there's a really great channel on YouTube called The Future, spelled Futur, and they're not really like illustration or concept art or anything. They're a graphic design company, but they have really great like lectures and seminars on how to price your art, how to value your art, how to value yourself as an artist. And yeah, I actually learned a lot from those videos, because like that whole spiel I gave about how it's very hard to quantify and place a value on art is taken from those videos. And it's just he has a much better way of breaking it down than I do, so I would highly recommend watching those. But it's the concept is the same, right? It's you have to make some kind of decision about how much you think you're worth, and then you have to get people to agree to it, which is the difficult thing.
So I want to pivot back to your work, because ultimately, like that's kind of what got our attention was your work and your ability to draw amazing characters. Is there, I mean, from what caught my eye and from what I've seen in a lot of your posts, you are very skilled at drawing specifically Dragonborn characters. Is that just how the dice fell? Like, were people commissioning you for Dragonborn? Do you have an affinity for drawing Dragonborn characters? Do you just happen to be very good at it? Or is that just what people were coming to you asking for?
I think I've always liked dragons in general, you know, as does.
They're pretty sweet.
Everyone, right? Everyone loves dragons. But I think what it was that I was getting into D&D for the first time. I haven't really played much or had the opportunity to play, but I love the lore and the world building aspect of it, and that's mainly what drew me to D&D.
Right.
So when I was researching stuff, you know, as one does at 2 a.m. on a Wikipedia binge, I was looking at, you know, Dragonborn art, and you know, the original Wizards of the Coast designs, they don't really fit my personal aesthetic preferences. You know, and that's not knocking the artist or anything. It's just I am not them, and I would have done things differently, right? So it all kind of started out as like, you know, what if I was a Wizards of the Coast artist? How would I do this? So one of the things that I do when doing redesigns or just designs in general is, you know, I like to read the stuff, the descriptions more than looking at references or something. Of course, I'll look at references, but my first step is usually to read the prompt or the description of whatever it is I'm trying to draw. And the description of Dragonborn kind of never really fit the visuals. So I kind of took that idea of, like, you boil down Dragonborn, what are they? They're dragon, they're bipedal dragon people, right? So I kind of took my personal aesthetic of a dragon and then just combined it with a person, and it all kind of sprung from there, right? Like the way I draw Dragonborn heads is the way I draw almost all my dragon heads. Just, I vary up the proportions and the shapes and stuff, but it's very much my personal preferred way of drawing a dragon. And then I just slapped the head onto a body and added a tail because I don't think they look very good without them. They just look a little unbalanced, and
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how the act of just taking a dragon head and slapping it on, a humanoid body can work so well.
Yeah.
When you picture it and when you think about it, putting it fits, it works. I think that's what really caught my eye the first time. I keep mentioning the 2 years ago, like it was all those years ago I saw this post, and it was like one of the first times that I ever really saw the character that I've been envisioning, like in front of me. And is there what's your favorite? If someone comes to you with a commission, do you have a favorite race / class, something that you really enjoy drawing, like your go-to, like, yes, I'm pumped to draw this?
I'm always down to draw Dragonborn.
Nice.
Yeah, they're probably the thing that got me into D&D. But even before D&D, I was always into orcs. Orcs are probably my favorite fantasy race out of all of them. Just due to, I played a lot of Warcraft when I was a kid. High school, I wasted my high school years modding Warcraft 3. And I actually also really like drawing tieflings. Anything with horns, really. Horns are always fun to draw.
Yep.
It's really satisfying if you can get a really volumetric looking horn that has all the planes and all the twists and turns and stuff. That's very fun to get it looking right. It's very satisfying.
I believe I'm legally required to ask, because you mentioned Warcraft, are we talking Horde or Alliance?
Horde, definitely.
I'm not too familiar with Warcraft myself. I'm not sure. Alex, did you ever get into Warcraft?
I think I only made it to Warcraft 2.
So you dabbled.
Yeah, I never really got into World of Warcraft, just because I'm antisocial and I don't like interacting with people online all that much.
That's fair.
Yep.
Especially back. But I much prefer talking to people face to face, or Discord calls are fine. But I stopped after Frozen Throne, the Warcraft 3 expansion, and I was really active in the modding community back in the day, and that's actually what kind of started me on this whole creative career endeavor. But yeah, tieflings, tieflings are cool. I'm pretty sure everyone likes drawing elves because everyone likes drawing hot girls with long ears. And but actually that's one of my little side projects that I have on the back burner, just like constantly, is I have a little world building project going on where I'm basically taking just your traditional fantasy races and kind of redesigning them a little bit, changing the aesthetic where I want to change it, changing the cultures and stuff that they're based on, and just kind of building my own little world to play in. And if you've seen those the pyramid orcs that I've been drawing, that was kind of the first exploration into that world. And then from there I moved on to elves. I redesigned them a little bit to, people have been telling me they look like furbolgs.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I will link it just so you guys can have a visual of what I'm talking about. But But yeah, I took the idea of elves and redesigned them because in so much fantasy, I feel like elves are just, you know, people with pointy ears. And that kind of feels like a cop out to me in terms of design. All right, here, let me link it for you. All right, so this is the redesign project I've been doing.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they kind of look. So the elves kind of look like furbolgs now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'm not so into D&D that I know all these off races and stuff, and so since people pointed out they look like furbolgs, I'm like, crap, they kind of do. But whatever. Can't please everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But like I do like just taking some established IP and kind of playing art director as an exercise for myself,
Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. You can literally do whatever you want. There's if there's an image that you have in your head of an elf and you want to make that elf, you have the ability to do that, which is beautiful. And then other people can take a look, and if they like it, they can dive in.
Yeah.
So
when it comes, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it because they say in D&D, like, you could do whatever you want. Like, you talk to your game master and you could pretty much figure out how to do whatever you want or make whatever character you want. Is that a reason why you lean towards doing this art, or are you not into sci-fi and tech, or if you were going to do like comic book fan art, you just like, I'd rather stick to my orcs and elves and dragons?
Don't get me wrong. I love sci-fi also. Just with the way that my current career trajectory is going, I just happen to get a lot of fantasy work. Kind of a feedback loop, I do a lot of, it's like with Dragonborn, I do some cool Dragonborn. People start coming to me for Dragonborn, and so I get more Dragonborn out there.
Right.
And so I think that's one of the reasons I have so many Dragonborn, is just those first couple Dragonborn designs I did. But yeah, that I definitely like the you can do whatever you want kind of aspect of it. Like, what really tires me about just some aspects of the D&D community is the people that are very set about everything has to be from the player's handbook or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like, yeah, they can have that mindset. That's perfectly fine, but it's also perfectly fine for other people to want to go away from that, right? They want, like, I look at D&D as a framework, right? I'm more interested in like how the mechanics work, how the stats work, and then what I like about it is that you can take that system and then you can use it in your own world or like campaign or whatever, right? Like, there's people playing Star Wars D&D or right? It's like why are you so focused on the fact that my Dragonborn has a tail? So, like, does it take away from the gameplay at all? I don't think so. Just let people have their fun.
Somehow this tail takes away from the enjoyment, and I can no longer have fun with this game until you get rid of that tail.
Yeah, like, just listen a bit and see how absurd that sounds.
I've seen Warhammer players refuse to play someone else because their army wasn't painted well enough. And and like, I'm wondering if something would come up where like some player is like, no, you can't have an orc cleric. Like, I'm not playing with you if you're going to run this character. It's like, but dude, it's a game.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous, the gatekeeping and just gatekeeping in any community is kind of toxic, and I really wish we could do away with it. Just like,
it's tough. It's even especially in D&D. It's with D&D getting so popular these days, and also I mean, if you are someone who very much enjoys following the player's handbook to a T, being the metaphorical rules lawyer, if that's your bag, cool. And if you find people who also want to play like that, great.
Yeah,
but you got to understand that there are people who might not be into that, who might want to do more of the kind of seat of your own pants.
Like homebrew.
We're gonna bend the rules a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll play a little bit of 4th edition, a little bit of 5th edition. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And people are gonna have fun with that. And if you get mad at people for doing it, you gotta take a step back.
Yeah. It's like, do some self-reflection. Just listen to yourself for a little bit.
You're not playing D&D competitively for money.
Right.
Yeah. It's always a fun time engaging in those conversations.
Luckily, from what I've seen, that kind of stuff does seem to be, the minority.
Yeah, I like to, I don't know if this is true, but I like to think that I started pushing the community more towards Dragonborn with tails are cool.
You're shifting the zeitgeist.
Right? Just moving that D&D Overton window. But
how did you get into D&D? Like what drew you to it? What was your first character? What was your start getting into it?
I honestly don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was just the art. I got into it for the art first.
That's fair.
I think I saw some of Steve Sketches' stuff. You guys know Steve Sketches, right? He posts a lot on Reddit also.
I most likely have seen his work, but I'm not familiar with the handle.
Okay. He's much more prolific than I am. He does this stuff full time. And he has a Twitch stream and everything. But I saw some of his work, and then I saw where he was posting it, and I just kind of weaseled my way into the D&D community from there, just, posting art. But it was always, like I said, it's always the world building aspect of it that really appealed to me. And ever since high school with modding World of Warcraft, I liked to design stuff, create stories, and build worlds and stuff. And D&D gives a very good framework for that, I think. So
what would you say is the best, in your opinion? You've mentioned that you're a fan of sci-fi and fantasy, kind of everything. In your opinion, what would you say is the best or your favorite world, like universe, whether it's Star Wars or I can't. Oh, my nerd cred is failing me. I can't remember the universe from Warcraft.
Azeroth?
Do you have
like Azeroth and stuff?
Yeah. Like, do you have a favorite? Do you think there's one that's like particularly the best?
I don't know about the best, because that is a very subjective like thing.
Pretty broad question.
Yeah. But okay, how about this? Personally, the franchises, the worlds that have really influenced me personally, I would say I really like Dune.
I just finished reading that this week.
Yeah, I know. I'm low-key hyped for the movie, but also really scared.
Yeah, it could go, and now we can watch it on HBO Max from home, which is nice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So Dune, I really like because of the whole, the kind of the subtlety of it, the sci-fi mixed with like, what would that era be? Like the imperialism kind of era?
Yeah, I guess so.
Right? Because I always pictured Dune as kind of, like soldiers with epaulettes, and they're fencing with like sabers and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Right.
there's also that hint of sci-fi. I really like that kind of that mix of old and new, which is also why I really like Star Wars, because of that kind of mix of old and new. I also really like the Game of Thrones world.
Yep.
for its the magic is very low tech, right? It's
Yeah.
there, but it's not like everyone's throwing fireballs, that kind of stuff. Like, I like magic when it's very mysterious, when it's very intangible, when it's kind of like I like hard magic systems behind the scenes, but then you present it as a soft magic, if that
Right.
makes sense, in a world building sense, right?
Yeah, it's not like overbearing. It's not just everyone's just casually walking down the street shooting fireballs at each other.
Yeah, exactly. So Star Wars, I really like. I think Mandalorian has been really great in terms of the world building of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the directors of Mandalorian kind of get it more than the sequel trilogy directors do. But that's like a whole nother can of worms that we can open later.
Yeah, that's an entirely different. Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of stuck with me. And then Warcraft and StarCraft, just the Blizzard games in general. Oh my god! And Diablo is probably my favorite video game franchise of all time. Do I feel comfortable saying that? Yeah, I do. I really like Diablo.
I feel like that's a safe. I've only ever played. I played the first couple hours of, I think, Diablo 3. A friend of mine lent it to me for a little bit.
Yeah.
And even just that little bit, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what was going on. But it's just one of those things that it's hard to put down.
Yeah. Diablo. I haven't had the time to do the new season, but I generally try to get to 70 every season.
Right.
But like, I played Diablo 2 when I was a kid, and that really made an impression on me. I think you can see that influence in my work a lot, actually. The kind of Diablo 2 is very dark, it's very gritty, it's very real. Not real in the sense of like this is our world, but real in the fact that it's plausible.
Right.
Everything kind of makes sense. The aesthetic kind of fits together. It's that little bit of heavy metal magazine, that I really like also. They don't necessarily shy away from, gore or nudity or sex or something like that. And I really enjoy that approach, right? Like, when you world build, there's people out there that will, keep it, pretty PG and stuff. And, that's perfectly legit. But I like to include those bits of reality, like there's going to be nudity, there's going to be sex, there's going to be violence, there's going to be blood, all of those things combined make a very hard hitting world for me. And like, so if that kind of gritty atmosphere across, I think I've succeeded. I will think I have succeeded. Let me look for something here. Okay, this guy, this Orc War Priest, is probably one of my favorite characters I've done, and he's very much Diablo style. I feel, because he's got a two-handed flail that is also a censer, like those I don't know, is it Catholics that have the censer?
I think so.
Yeah.
But instead of just incense or whatever, it is like bloodlust herbs. So, and then just the kind
we
of
discussed two-handed flails being so underrated.
Oh yeah, I think they're awesome.
Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
It's like a step away from the 3-section staff that the Chinese Kung Fu uses.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But I would say that this character kind of sums up my aesthetic influences a lot. He's an orc. He's got some dark armor, but it's also like partly cloth, and it's crazy weapon, And like, personally, I don't like going into the whole huge spiky swords or impractical stuff. I'm very much into semi-historical accuracy. I'm also kind of a medieval history nerd and HEMA nerd. So like I really like the realistic weapons and stuff, and I try to incorporate that into my work. Like, I don't think I have any characters that are like holding ridiculously oversized weapons or anything like that. Maybe that Dragonborn Barbarian is the closest with the huge axe, but
Yeah, but
everyone else,
it's a usable axe though.
yeah, it looks proportional to the weapon. Yeah, that's the important part. Like, I don't go for realism. I go for plausibility.
Right.
It's like, can you believe that this character would be using this weapon? Or
Yep.
does this character look like he could exist in the world that he inhabits? And if you say yes to those, then I think I've succeeded. Like I did, like, I really like this piece here, this, because it's the our reasonable fantasy subreddit style armor, and then like a reasonably sized warhammer. And I actually spent a lot of time on the line work and all the detailing to get all the little engravings and stuff. So
right, it's not like a smaller elf character wielding Reinhardt's hammer from Overwatch. You know, it's a hammer that this person would most likely be most comfortable using. It's not, because, you know, fantasy's fun, and if you want to draw with the massive hammer, that can be fun too. But it's something about the actual usability. You could see this character using that weapon. I think that helps with the immersiveness.
Yeah. So there's like a couple of schools of thought, right, when it comes to concept design. You have the super stylized, like Warcraft or Riot games, where it depends on their final product, right? Warcraft and like League of Legends or something, those are top-down views of their characters. So for them, silhouette and readability is extremely important, right? Whereas something like, well, let's go back to Diablo 2, right? Diablo 2, it was also a top-down view, but you were a little bit closer to the character, and so they had the opportunity to do a little bit more realistic weapon design, realistic armor design. Like, this is Diablo 2, not Diablo 3. Diablo 3 had a different development team, and so they kind of took the more stylized route. But Diablo 2 was very much gritty and realistic and plausible, which, you know, like I said, I try to incorporate those concepts into my work a lot. So out of those two ends of the spectrum, I kind of lean more towards the Diablo 2 style. But, you know, it all depends on what your end goal is. That's the thing with design, right? There's never a right or a wrong way to do something. There's ways to do something that would better fit your end goal, and so you should do those things. If something makes your end product better, then go for it. You know, like people argue about this stuff all the time, and it's like, well, this stuff is so subjective. Like, why are we arguing so much about it? But I guess it kills time on the internet, right? Everyone, we're all bored.
I can imagine maybe argue about the top three: Cloud's Buster Sword, the Space Marine armor, and any of the shoulders in Warcraft.
In Warcraft, yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, all three are extremely cool.
They look cool, but
if for me, if my end goal is a plausible universe, well, so like Warhammer, like 40Ks, right? Space Marines, their universe is plausible for their design aesthetic. Like, the lore behind the Space Marine makes their design work, right? If you had no idea what a Space Marine was, if the U.S. military decided to develop a Space Marine suit, you would look at that as like, dude, that's never how are you gonna walk around in that here on Earth, right? We're not biogenetically engineered super soldiers. What is that doing? But you can justify it by creating a backstory, by creating the lore and all that. So it's a combination of justifying your design choices, and also justifying your design choices with a certain aesthetic that will fit. So yeah, people need to be less just stingy about this kind of thing.
Just accept that's the universe. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fantasy. Let's create some fantasy. So
yeah, it's like exercise your imagination. It's like
right. Peter, as we come to the end of our time here with this episode, we've been mentioning Instagram and Reddit and all those different various places. Where can people go if they're thinking, where the hell are they looking? What are they looking at? I want to find this. If they haven't already Googled it themselves, which just Googling your name, Peter Lin, I was able to find a bunch of links. But where can people go if they wanted to find your work? Yeah,
Peter Lin is a very common name. Pretty sure I'm a doctor somewhere.
Yeah, but, in my first search,
I am Peter Lim Design on ArtStation, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Twitch. On Reddit, I am Polygraf, Polygraf. You can find me on Reddit and all my political hot takes. But
everyone's got them.
Yeah. But Peter Lim Design is where you'll find most of my work. And my Twitch channel, I will start streaming when I am not so caught up in school and when I have a little more time. But yeah, you can find me at those places. Peter Lim Design, no spaces.
If someone wanted to hit you up for a commission, what's the best route that they could take with that?
Probably best to email me at peterlindesign@gmail.com or contact me through my socials if you prefer those.
Awesome. Yeah. Easy peasy. Peter, I got to say thank you so much for coming on and doing this. I know this is another one of our first, because I believe you are the first person that we've ever talked with who resides in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So this is the largest time difference we've ever had.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's pitch black out over here. Like, we are as far away as you can get in the United States.
Nice.
We are on the coast of New England, 5 hours away. So it's a fun little factoid that doesn't impact anything, but it's still neat. But what's up?
Do you mind if I also plug the Fantasy Artists subreddit?
Sure.
Plug it.
Yeah. So on Reddit, our Fantasy Artists, with an S, plural. It's a collective of professional fantasy artists. We all do Dungeons and Dragons illustrations. We do fantasy illustrations, sci-fi. All your commission needs can be found at our Fantasy Artists, and we're all very professional about it. We all do good work. A lot of my friends are there, so if you want other styles other than mine, feel free to check us out. We would be happy to help you out.
Excellent. You heard it. Go check out Fantasy Artists. Go check out Peter Lim Design on pretty much all the socials. Peter, thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us. This was a great time. It was great to be able to meet the person that has been blowing me away for the better part of 2 years with their art. So thank you, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So that is going to do it for this week. Until next time, I have been Jayare.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Peter.
And this has been episode 417 of Opinions May Vary. Hey everyone, if you liked that episode, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Opinions May Vary, and on Twitter and YouTube at OMV Podcast. You can also find us on Spotify or on our very own website at omvpodcast.com. And if you're looking for merch, we have stickers and pins available over at omvpodcast.bigcartel.com while supplies last. As always, thank you so much for listening. Let us know what you thought in the comments, and we will see you next time.